Now we will write some write request functions such as accepting a write request, canceling a write request, etc. So let's get started. So I will head over to lib rider controller services write request services, and inside write request services dot we will come up with a new function, and it's going to be cancel write. So here we will pass build context. Here we'll go with Firebase database dot instance dot ref dot child, and it's going to be, let's copy from here only, child write request, and here we do have auth current user. Okay, dot remove dot then, and then we will pop the screen. So here we will go with navigator dot pop. Okay, so here is our cancel write request function. So this will be triggered by rider. So now we are concerned about driver as write request services. So we will come up to driver folder, go to controller services, and here we will introduce a new folder naming it write request services dot write request services. So here we will introduce a new file, and it's going to be write request services dot. So let's go with class write request services driver, and let's first come up with the functions to accept to check write availability. So this function, what it really does is that, so whenever inside our mobile the dialog box will pop up that okay, there is a write request, we have to make sure that before we accept that request, somebody else didn't have accepted that request. If somebody else have accepted that request, then we're gonna pop up that dialog. So we will go with database reference, and let's add a question mark for null. Sorry. So first thing, it's going to be static check write availability, and here we will go with build context and string write id. Let's cut this one, paste up here. Database reference, we will go with script ref equals to Firebase database dot instance dot ref, and here we will paste this child. Let's come up to this one. Here we will copy this much. So make sure this path is same, like you don't have any kind of typos here. If you even go with a simple mistake, the entire function won't work properly. Like the entire function will be a waste. So make sure, if possible, you just copy from previous codes, these things. So here we will go with write request, and then we will go with write id. So we have created the reference. Now we will go with final snapshot equals to await. Here we have to make this function asynchronous. Await script dot get. Okay. So here we will go with null check. If snapshot dot exists, then execute some functions, else execute some function. So if snapshot exists, then good, we will go with a stream, else we will simply pop up the dialog box. So we'll go with navigator dot pop. Okay, here we will just ignore this and we will move ahead. Here we will create a stream and it's going to be of type database event. We will go with stream equals to scriptref dot on value stream dot listen, and here we will make this asynchronous. And here we will go with final check snapshot exist equals to await script ref dot get. Then we will check if it exists or not. If check snapshot exists dot exists, then we will convert it to a write request model. Like we will convert the snapshot to a write request model. Write request model equals to write request model dot from map, and here it's going to be JSON JSON decode, then JSON encode, and inside it it's going to be snapshot dot value as map of string dynamic string comma dynamic. And here we will close this one. Let's come to next line. So we have converted the model. Now it's time we go for some checks. If write request model dot driver profile not equals to null, then we will go with audio player dot stop navigator dot pop and toast service dot send scaffold alert, and it's going to be oops script accepted by someone. And here it's going to be an error. Okay, so if it's not null and if it's null, we will go with else audio player dot stop, and then coming up navigator dot pop, we will copy this from above, paste up here, and here we will go with oops ride was cancelled. Okay, let's save this one. And here we do have the function that is check write availability. So we will come up to push notification dialog, and here we will go with write request services driver dot check write availability, and here we have to pass two parameters. That's going to be context and write id. Context comma write id is going to be write request model dot rider profile dot mobile number, and we will add a null check, and yeah, we are good. So let's understand what this check write availability will do. It will first check like the the driver profile. It's by default it's null. So whenever a driver accept a trip, then the driver profile in the driver profile we basically save the driver data. So it will check if it's null or not. If it's not null, then it means that somebody else have already accepted that trip. And if it's null, then it is somewhat like that the the trip was confirmed by some, like the trip was cancelled by the user. Okay, yeah, we don't have this one else. So I was also confused. So let's cut this one. So if write request driver profile not equals to null, then we will pop up this message. So snapshot exists, and here we'll go with else and paste this one. So what this basically checks is that it checks whether the request is available or not. If the request is not available, which means that the rider have deleted the write request, and we have to pop the message, or you can say we have to pop the dialog. It's good now. Now let's come up with some other functions such as getting write data. So we will continue with this rider write request services driver, and here we will go with a new function, static get write request data, and it's going to be a string write id. Let's make it a asynchronous function, and here we will just copy the same thing from above, paste up here, final snapshot equals await tripref dot get, and here we will check if snapshot is empty or not. Snapshot dot exists, then we will fetch the data. So here I will just copy the JSON code, that is this one, conversion of JSON, like conversion of snapshot into map, and return write request model. Okay, so we will come up with another function now, and it's going to be update write request status. So here we will go with static update write request status, and here we'll go with string write request status and string write id, and it's going to be, oh okay, it's going to be a normal function. So we will copy, not this one, we will copy the database wrap, paste up here, remove this question mark, so it's going to be write request write id, and here coming up write status. So let's have a look here. We will go to rider controller services write request services, and here we have this get write status. Copy this one. Let's have a look where we are calling this function. Here we will copy this. and paste up here. Yeah, so the child name is okay. Now we will go with ref script ref dot set, and it's going to be write request status. Okay, so basically what this write request status, like why we do need to update write request status, it's because we have this function, right? Let's have a look. This function write request status. So here we do have 4 status waiting for write request, which means that the rider have requested for it write, but yet no driver have accepted that write. Second is that the driver, any driver have accepted that write, and the driver is on the way. Third status is that the driver has picked up the user, or you can say the writer, and the driver is moving towards the destination. And at last we have this status, that is write completed. So we will again copy this function, and here inside write request services driver we will paste this function. Okay, so now we have to add another function here, and it's going to be update write request ID. Let's go with static update write request ID. So here we will copy this database ref, paste up here, and here instead of this one it's going to be user slash current user, that's going to be auth dot current user dot phone number. We have to add a null check here, and here we will go with active write request ID, and here we will go with ref dot set. It's going to be trip ref dot set, and here we will accept write request ID. So string write ID, and it's going to be write ID. Okay, we are good.